Alright, moving on to the lower arm, the forearm, and the hand, or the grabber claw. So we'll just grab and copy this cylinder down, and we'll call it right forearm. Alright, so now, since this is operating from this end, we'll drag our taper amount to a negative direction. And then maybe we'll expand the curve a little bit the other direction. So I think we actually even need to go back to the cylinder and increase the radius. So it starts on that end. We'll also decrease the height so we meet up the wrist joint there. Alright, that looks pretty cool. It doesn't follow our background drawing exactly, but I like the idea of switching that taper on there. So now we'll actually drag this down one more time to copy it again. And we'll call this right wrist. Alright, so that one, we're just going to delete the taper altogether and then decrease, first of all, the height segments and the height. Right about there, the radius come down a little bit, right about there. Alright, so that looks pretty good. Now, I've got some little spheres around here, so these we're going to just leave as spheres. Alright, so we'll start right in the center here, right about there. Now that's going to be down a little farther, so we'll grab and move that up. And we'll make it a bit bigger. So now what we can do, we can actually rotate that sphere around. We don't quite need that many segments, like 16. But when I try to rotate this around, it's not going to stay locked onto that new wrist object. So what I can do, I'm going to switch to rotate. And here for my reference coordinate system, I'm going to use pick. I can pick another object as my coordinate system. So we're going to use that other object's pivot point. And now as I rotate, I'll keep my little sphere rotating directly on that wrist object. Angle snap, alright, that's on. So as I hold down shift and rotate, I'm going to make sure that I'm rotating to exactly a 90-degree angle. Then we'll make 3 new copies. When I do that, I get 4 perfectly spaced spheres going around the edge of that wrist. Then from there, we'll go back. We'll make a nice new little cylinder here, and then line it up. Well, that's probably actually big enough. We'll make it a little bit thinner, and then move it back against the hand, or the wrist, and we'll bring it up a little bit. Now, we're going to look at making a box. Now, let's actually make a chamfered box. Something about like that. We don't need quite so many fillet segments. Want it to be a little bit harder edged. Decrease the size of that fillet a little bit. And then we'll move it up. Alright, right now, it's a little too wide. So we'll go back and we'll make some adjustments here. So we'll make it a little bit more narrow so it fits our cylinder. And then from the front view here, we're going to rotate it up. And still rotate around our other objects. We'll just go back to view. And now rotate it there. And we'll move it back. Rotate a little more. And now as I see this here, I can see that its length in the long dimension is a little too much. So bring that back. Take this cylinder. We'll shift drag it to copy it. Place it at the end, and then we'll grab this, shift drag it out, copy it. It doesn't need to be absolutely perfect. So now we can grab all of these objects and we're going to mirror them. So I'm going to use the mirror tool, except I've got to make sure I'm actually using the correct axis. So I want to mirror on the y-axis, and I want to copy. So I can use the offset to move it down, or once it's mirrored, we can just move it down manually as well. Alright, so there's our arm. That's working pretty good, so we'll save it there, and we'll move on and copy the entire arm over to the other side. So let's grab all of these pieces. And then in our front view here, we're going to use our mirror tool. And instead of now mirroring on the Y, we're going to mirror on the X. And we're going to move it way over. that looks good there. It's looking pretty robot-y. All right, from here we'll move on to working on the head.